Ever heard of an army made entirely of women? Not in a movie, but in real life. Forget the myths, because the Dahomey Amazons were very, very real. In West Africa, in what is now modern-day Benin, the Kingdom of Dahomey had a fearsome all-female military unit. They were known as the Agoji, and they served their king for over 2 centuries, from the 1600s all the way to the late 1800s. They weren't just for show, they were frontline soldiers, feared by all who faced them. So, how did this incredible army come to be? It likely started with a group of female elephant hunters or perhaps palace guards. But it was King Agaja in the early 1700s who formalized them into a proper military unit. As the kingdom was constantly at war, they faced a shortage of male soldiers, so they turned to their women. Recruitment was intense. Some girls were chosen as young children, others were prisoners of war, and some families even offered their daughters as a tribute to the king. Once you became an Agoji, it was for life. To ensure their absolute loyalty, the Agoji were considered wives of the king. This was a symbolic marriage, and they were forbidden from having relationships with any other men. In fact, sex was punishable by death. This kept them free from traditional family obligations and completely dedicated to the king and their military duties. Their training was notoriously brutal, designed to strip away fear and build incredible physical and mental endurance. They went on long marches, engaged in relentless combat drills, and were even made to climb walls of thorns. The core of their philosophy was simple: pain and death are meaningless. The Agoji were a highly organized force with a clear chain of command, answering directly to the king. They had different regiments, each with a special purpose. There were the riflewomen, the archers, and the most terrifying of all, the reapers. These elite warriors were armed with razor-sharp machetes and specialized in close-quarters combat. While they used muskets and rifles, they were famous for their preference for hand-to-hand fighting, often taking enemy heads as trophies of their victory. In battle, their tactics were just as intimidating as their reputation. They were known for launching ferocious frontal assaults, using war chants and intimidation to break their enemy spirit before the fighting even began. European accounts from the time describe them as being even more aggressive and fearless than their male counterparts. They were the backbone of Dahomey's military might and played a key role in the kingdom's expansion. However, their story has a dark side. Dahomey's economy was heavily reliant on the slave trade, and the Agoja participated in raids to capture people who were then sold to European traders. This remains a deeply controversial part of their history. Their ultimate test came in the late 19th century, during the Franco-Dahomeyan Wars. The Agoja fought fiercely against the French colonial forces, using guerrilla tactics and night raids. They were brave and skilled, but they were no match for the superior firepower of French machine guns and artillery. After a bloody conflict, the Kingdom of Dahomey